Home, where routine meets remarkable, with unexpected moments of inspiration around every corner and through every window. Quiet mornings in the sun, with portals to new worlds, and fine dining with a view. Your window treatments should be as inspiring as your home and the remarkable routine of your daily life. 3-day blinds.
This is Kcal News Mornings.
Good morning. It's Friday, August 8th. I'm Sheba Turk.
And I'm Rachel Kim in for Jamie Yukis. We begin with breaking news this morning. Kcal was just over the canyon fire burning near Lake Piru in Ventura County. It started around 1:30 yesterday afternoon and quickly spread to nearly 5,000 acres. Mandatory evacuations are in effect and the flames pushing east into LA County. Our Tina Patel has been near the fire lines all morning, and she just moved to show us a new vantage point, but can no longer get a cell signal. So we will check in with her as soon as we can, but it just goes to show how the terrain in this area is so difficult to handle.
Absolutely. It says a lot. Meteorologist Marina Jurka is in for Paul Diano today. She's keeping an eye on conditions as firefighters try to stop the flames. Well, we've been talking about heat all week long, Marina, and that can't be helping.
It isn't helping, and we're going to have one more day with that excessive heat as we push into the day today, and that, of course, is why we have a next weather alert for all our inland communities. So right there near the canyon fire, conditions right now, we've got hazy sunshine, 70 degrees. The dew points are still very low at 48. Humidity is only at 46%, and so we are going to see improvements this weekend. Only minor, but still improvements this weekend, but we have to get to this weekend first. And today is still going to be another rough day. So next 24 hours, winds will decrease. We'll see a peak this afternoon at about 2 to 6 p.m., up to 25 miles per hour. And then we'll see winds drastically decrease as we push towards the extended. But highs today are going to be very, very hot once again, with 100 in Santa Clarita, 103 in Van Nuys, 104 in Lancaster and Palmdale and San Bernardino and Riverside, 106 in Hemet, 97 in Woodland Hills. Once again, the coasts, the only relief in the 70s and 80s. And I'm going to track what everyone will see as we push into the weekend, because we are going to see some minor improvements, which is welcomed, I'm sure. Kalina?
Hi. Okay, let's get you outside right now for a couple things out on the roadways. One of them clear, the other one still in the way. 118 westbound at Sepulveda Boulevard. Signal alert issued for this one. 2 right lanes in the off-ramp are blocked off. It's just about a 4-minute delay now from the 5 to Sepulveda. So give yourself just a couple extra minutes as you head out the door if that's your commute. The 405 freeway, that's slowing down to 25 minutes from Roscoe to Sunset. Most of that traffic, as usual, loading up just before that 101. And here's the overall view of LA. It's still pretty light on this Friday. Lighter conditions on the 210, 10, and 60 than we typically see. The 10, though, in Mid-City, that is slowing down now to 21 minutes between the 110 and the 405, and 405 north, 20 minutes from the 105 to the 10. Had an issue on the 15 northbound, making your way through the Cajon Pass. That cleared up. Ladies, back to you.
Kalina, thank you. Taps are dry and frustrations boiling over in parts of the San Fernando Valley.
Yeah, a water valve has been broken since Tuesday, and thousands in Granada Hills and Porter Ranch have been scrambling without water and dealing with extreme heat. Kcal News reporter Cara Finstrom live in Porter Ranch with the latest. Cara?
Yeah, the timing couldn't be worse, but 2 important updates from LADWP. First off, they are saying it's going to likely take all weekend to get the problem fixed. And secondly, they say if customers don't use any tap water at all in those impacted areas, the businesses and the homes, it will help them speed up the process because it takes longer to do work if the pressure drops within the system. Behind us here, you can see some of the signs that are posted throughout the area that is impacted. That's across Porter Ranch and Granada Hills, roughly north of Rinaldi Street and west of Balboa Boulevard. Take a look. A boil water notice has been in place for days with warnings that drinking tap water could cause stomach and intestinal upset. LADWP working round the clock to repair a valve at a pump station, cutting off the flow of water to a 10 million gallon tank. They say customers can help them get this job done by turning off sprinklers and not using tap water for gardens, doing laundry, dishwashing, or even flushing toilets. We spoke with one man who was making sure his mother was stocked up with enough water for this hot weekend.
It's been pretty inconvenient. You know, you you take for granted the things that you do all the time, like rinse out a dish.
All right, free water distribution sites, those are going to be open as long as this situation goes on. And those are taking place at Holly Burnson Memorial Park, O'Melveny Park, and the intersection of Tampa Avenue and Cesnon Boulevard. Drinking water will be available. You can just come and pick it up in your car between 7 in the morning and 9 at night. Back to you.
Cart, thank you so much. We hope something happens for them soon. Now, meantime, a boil water order remains in place for parts of Malibu. LA County says the order applies to 2,800 customers west of Kcal and Solstice Canyon roads. A water main was temporarily disconnected during work on the new Solstice Canyon Creek Bridge. Caltrans says reconnecting the line turned out to be more complicated than anticipated because the line was buried under concrete. Affected customers can pick up bottled water at Malibu Public Library and the Malibu Boys and Girls Club from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. All right, and we do want to get back to that breaking news. We are monitoring the canyon fire burning near Lake Piru and Ventura County. That broke out just before 1:30 yesterday afternoon.
Yeah, and has since exploded in size to nearly 5,000 acres. It is prompting mandatory evacuation, and it's now pushing east into LA County. Let's now go to Kcal News reporter Tina Patel, who is live on the scene. Tina.
Yeah, good morning. We were just in a neighborhood about a half mile from here. I want to zoom in there. We didn't have a good signal, so we had to move away. But the fire was actually moving up a ridge just behind some homes, and that isn't a mandatory evacuation area. Now, the good news is there is no wind this morning. So we were talking to a couple people in that neighborhood as well as firefighters. They thought the firefighters were going to be able to put out that little spot of the fire before it actually got to the homes themselves. Let me show you some video from Kcal. They flew over the canyon fire just about an hour ago, and we can still see that there are huge areas here in the canyons that are burning. But when I was talking to some firefighters this morning, they had not heard of any structures being burned overnight. And again, they're trying to take advantage of the conditions. Yesterday, when that fire broke out, it spread really quickly because there was so much dry brush. It was also very hot and very dry. But in the evening hours, really the winds died down and it got a little bit cooler, and firefighters have been trying to take advantage of that. There was helicopters and there was air tankers flying as late as they could to try to get a handle on this fire. Right now, there's still 0% containment, and we haven't gotten an update about whether the fire grew overnight. The last update that we had was it was about 4,800 acres that had burned. So we're still waiting to figure out if the fire spread or not. But what from firefighters are telling us, the conditions were favorable overnight. They're doing what they can to try to get control of the fire and to try to save as many structures as possible. Now, I want to show you or have you listen to some video when we talked to some people who were in mandatory evacuation zones last night. Here's what they told us about the conditions and how frightening it was to see.
Yeah, there's so much dry brush out there that it's a mess, and the fire was moving so fast. It was in the matter of an hour. I mean, it probably moved 5 or 10 miles.
We're a little bit surrounded by, quite a few other homes, but that doesn't seem to matter anymore. These fires get going and they can get through there pretty quick. When we can see it coming, we're out of here.
And yesterday, Kcal did fly over one structure that looked like it was burning. It was hard to tell from the air whether that was a home or some other kind of outbuilding. We don't have any official words on damages yet. But again, right now, firefighters are just trying to do what they can to fight the flames that they're seeing. We haven't heard of any aircraft in just this particular area, but we're kind of just on one side of the fire, closer to Castaic. It's still burning into Ventura County as well. So we'll continue to talk to firefighters, see what they're up against this morning. But again, right now, a little bit cooler, no wind that we can speak of. So hopefully that will be the case as the day goes on. We'll continue to monitor the situation and have updates for you throughout the morning. Right now, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Tina, thank you so much for the latest. President Trump has signed an executive order requiring colleges prove that they do not consider race in admissions. The order comes as the government accuses UCLA and 2 other California universities of doing just that. President Trump cited race-based admissions as one of the reasons he cut more than $500 million in grants to UCLA. 2 years ago, the Supreme Court ruled against using race when choosing students, but said colleges may still consider how it is shaped an applicant's life if it's shared in an essay.
The Trump administration is ramping up its legal fight over immigration enforcement in Southern California. The administration is now asking the Supreme Court for free rein to use race, language, and other factors to target immigrants they believe are in the country illegally. Last month, a federal judge ruled those tactics violated the Constitution. The judge issued a temporary order requiring immigration officials to have reasonable suspicion before detaining individuals, and that decision was upheld by an appeals court. In its brief to the Supreme Court, the Trump administration argued the ruling puts a quote-unquote straitjacket on immigration agents.
Question is whether or not the Supreme Court will acquiesce and intervene and essentially allow ICE agents to continue enforcing the law the way they see fit.
The Trump administration is arguing, quote, apparent ethnicity can be a factor supporting reasonable suspicion in appropriate circumstances, end quote. The ACLU says the administration is running to the Supreme Court to continue its racist policies that terrorize immigrant communities. There's no timeline for if or when the justices could take up the case.
Well, happening today, Governor Gavin Newsom is hosting Texas Democrats who have fled their state, refusing to vote for redistricting. It all started with a call from President Trump to Texas Governor Greg Abbott, urging him to redraw the state's congressional map. The result would likely eliminate 5 Democratic seats in the House. California leaders will also continue discussing plans on how to fight back against Texas. So far, California leaders are considering a special election to approve a new congressional map before next year's midterms.
Today is the deadline President Trump gave to Russian President Vladimir Putin to reach a ceasefire agreement with Ukraine or risk secondary actions. The president had said the U.S. would impose secondary tariffs of up to 100% on goods sold by countries that do business with Russia if Putin didn't agree to a ceasefire within a 50-day window. Now, earlier this week, Special Envoy Steve Witkoff met with Putin in Moscow. He called the talks highly productive, but the White House says there are still no definite plans for a summit. The Israeli cabinet approved President Benjamin Netanyahu's plan to control of Gaza City.
But there was strong opposition to that takeover. Joining us now, Benjamin Redd, professor of political science and global studies at UCLA. Benjamin, good to have you back with us.
Good morning.
Good morning. Okay, so what are the immediate implications of Israel taking over Gaza? Of course, this is not the first time we've heard Netanyahu said that he is ready to defeat Hamas.
Well, there's domestic constraints and international concerns. On the domestic part, you now have a country that has to remobilize its forces, its reserves that are already exhausted and drained, a country that is fatigued from almost 2 years of war, and now having to be responsible